What if the thing you're worst at today is not your weakness, but simply something you haven't practiced enough? And what if the thing you best at is trying to tell you who you meant to become? This story might change how you see yourself forever. Hello everyone, welcome to Wordy Tales. Today we bringing you a powerful story about discovering your true strengths and how dedication can turn ordinary talent into extraordinary success. It's a reminder that each of us is unique, and with the right mindset and consistent practice, we can excel in our own way. Along the journey, we also learn some useful words and ideas that can help improve your English in a simple and enjoyable way. So stay with us till the end. Once upon a time, in a small and peaceful town, there lived a family in a quiet corner of the city. They had a 12-year-old son named David, who was studying in the 6th grade. David was full of energy. He loved being outdoors, running around, and playing games with his friends. His absolute favorite activity was playing soccer. Almost every day, as soon as school ended, David would rush to the nearby public field and practice for hours, kicking the ball, running drills, and imagining himself as a great player one day. One afternoon, after returning home from school, something was different. Instead of running outside, David dropped his bag, walked slowly to the living room, and slumped onto the couch. He opened his math book, stared at the pages for a few seconds, and then leaned back with a look of frustration on his face. His father, who had just come in from the backyard, noticed this unusual behavior. He sat beside David and gently asked what was bothering him. David hesitated for a moment and then said that he had received a poor grade in math. But it wasn't just the grade that upset him. What really hurt was that his close friend and neighbor Matt always seemed to score high in math. No matter how hard David tried, he just couldn't match Matt's performance. He felt discouraged and started doubting himself. Seeing his son upset, David's father went inside, brought a glass of water, and asked him to relax. After a few minutes, he took David to their small backyard garden. The place was calm, filled with shady trees and a peaceful atmosphere. David's father looked at him and said, "What happened today can teach you 3 very important lessons. These lessons will guide you not only now, but throughout your life." David was confused but curious. He respected his father deeply and trusted his wisdom. "Can you explain those lessons, Dad?" he asked. His father smiled and said, "You'll learn each lesson through a small challenge." After a brief pause, his father said, "For the first lesson, I want you to invite Matt to play soccer with you tomorrow." David nodded, excited and eager to understand what his father was trying to teach him. The next day, the weather was bright and pleasant. After school, David invited Matt to join him at the soccer field. As usual, David played with confidence. He dribbled skillfully, scored 3 goals, and led his team to a big win. Matt, on the other hand, struggled. He wasn't familiar with soccer, lost the ball often, and made several mistakes. Still, everyone enjoyed the game, laughed, and had fun. Later that evening, David met his father in the backyard and eagerly shared everything. He talked about his goals and how Matt wasn't very good at soccer. His father listened carefully and then said, "Look at this, David. Matt may not be good at soccer, but he is excellent at math. You may struggle with math, but you shine on the soccer field. We are all different, and that's perfectly okay. Everyone has their own strengths and talents." At that moment, David felt something shift inside him. He realized that comparing himself to others didn't make sense. Everyone had their own abilities. But his curiosity wasn't satisfied yet. He quickly asked about the second lesson. His father replied, "Tomorrow at school, observe Matt carefully. Notice how often you see him working with numbers." The next day, David did exactly that. He quietly watched Matt throughout the school day. He noticed Matt solving math problems during breaks, counting things around him, calculating small things just for fun, even counting flower petals during recess. That evening, David excitedly told his father everything he had seen. His father smiled and said, "That's the second lesson. Matt is good at math because he enjoys it and practices it all the time. Skill doesn't come from talent alone. It comes from repetition and practice. Just like you became good at soccer by playing every day." David understood that improvement was possible in anything as long as he practiced consistently. Then came the third lesson. His father asked, "How much better do you think Matt is at math compared to you?" David thought for a moment and said, "Maybe 3 times better." His father nodded and said, "Then for the final challenge, study math 3 times harder tomorrow." David felt nervous, but he agreed. The next day after school, David sat down to study math seriously. 1 hour passed, then 2. He pushed himself harder than ever before. His head started to ache, his eyes felt heavy, and before he realized it, he fell asleep on his desk. Later, his father gently woke him up and asked him to come to the garden. David felt disappointed and ashamed. He told his father that he failed the challenge. His father placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "This is what happens when you force yourself to master something you don't enjoy. Discipline becomes heavy and consistency feels painful. But when you work on something you love, discipline feels natural, just like soccer does for you." After a short silence, his father said something David would never forget. "If you want to be smart and become an expert at something, either study what you love or learn to love what you study." David stood there quietly, absorbing every word. That day, he didn't just learn about math or soccer. He learned about life. He learned that everyone has different strengths, that practice builds skill, and that passion makes discipline easier. From that day on, David carried these lessons with him. He stopped comparing himself with others and started focusing on his own growth. He learned to respect his strengths and work patiently on his weaknesses, and that is the lesson for all of us. Discover what you're good at. Practice it with dedication. And remember, success doesn't come from copying others, but from becoming the best version of yourself. If this story helped you or taught you something new, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with others. Keep listening, keep learning, and keep growing. I'll see you in the next story.